Hey everyone. Get cozy, settle into a comfy position, and let these calming tales whisk you away to a peaceful night's sleep. Drop a comment below on what time and from where you are watching this video and share your own late-night ritual that helps you drift off. The wind howled through the turrets of Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry, carrying with it the scent of damp stone and pine from the Forbidden Forest. It was a crisp September evening, and the castle buzzed with the nervous energy of a new school year. Torches flickered along the corridors, casting long shadows that danced like specters across the ancient walls. Among the throng of students flooding the Great Hall, a fifth-year Ravenclaw named Elara Voss stood apart, her eyes scanning the enchanted ceiling as if searching for answers in the swirling storm clouds above. Elara was no stranger to Hogwarts, but this year felt different. She clutched a worn leather journal, its pages yellowed and filled with cryptic notes scrawled in her mother's handwriting. Her mother, Isolde Voss, had vanished a decade ago, leaving behind only whispers of her brilliance as a charms professor and this journal, which Elara had found hidden in a secret compartment of her dormitory trunk just days before term began. The journal hinted at a forgotten secret within Hogwarts, a hidden chamber tied to the school's founders, one that held a power no one fully understood. "Move it, Voss," barked a burly Slytherin, shoving past her toward the Ravenclaw table. Elara stumbled, clutching the journal tighter. She ignored the jeer, her mind elsewhere. The journal's final entry mentioned a Veil of Echoes, a mysterious artifact or spell that could unravel the threads of time. Elara didn't know what it meant, but the words sent shivers down her spine. She slipped the journal into her robes and took her seat, barely noticing the sorting ceremony unfolding before her. At the Ravenclaw table, her best friend, Finn Caldwell, a lanky boy with a mop of red hair and a knack for transfiguration, leaned over. "You look like you've seen a banshee. What's got you so spooked?" Elara hesitated. Finn was loyal, but he wasn't one for secrets. Still, she needed someone to confide in. "It's my mum's journal," she whispered, glancing around to ensure no one was listening. I think she was onto something big before she disappeared. Something about a hidden chamber and a thing called the Veil of Echoes. Finn's eyes widened. "Blimey, Elara, that sounds like trouble. You're not thinking of chasing this, are you? Your mum vanished poking around and stuff like that." "That's exactly why I have to," Elara said, her voice firm. "If there's a chance this veil could explain what happened to her, I'm not letting it go." The feast began, plates piling high with roast beef and treacle tarts, but Elara barely ate. Her mind raced, piecing together the journal's clues. It mentioned a key of starlight, and a door beneath the roots. She needed to start somewhere, and the library seemed the obvious choice. But as she glanced at the staff table, her eyes locked with those of Professor Mordecai Flint, the new defense against the dark arts teacher. His gaze was sharp, almost predatory, and Elara felt a chill. She didn't trust him. Something about his sly smile and the way he watched the students felt wrong. After the feast, Elara and Finn slipped away from the bustling common room and headed to the library. The vast room was a labyrinth of towering shelves, the air thick with the musty scent of old parchment. Madame Pants, the librarian, prowled like a hawk, but Elara knew the library's hidden corners. She led Finn to a secluded alcove, pulling the journal from her robes. "Look at this," she said, flipping to a page with a sketch of a circular chamber, its walls etched with runes. "It says the chamber is tied to the founders, but it's not the Chamber of Secrets. This is something else, hidden deeper." Finn frowned, peering at the sketch. "Sounds like a fairy tale. You sure this isn't just your mum's imagination?" Elara's jaw tightened. She wasn't mad, Finn. She was brilliant, and she disappeared because of this. I need to know why. They spent hours scouring books on Hogwarts history, but found nothing about a Veil of Echoes or a chamber beneath the roots. Frustration gnawed at Elara, but then she noticed a faint glow from her journal, tucked in her bag. She pulled it out, heart pounding. The pages flipped on their own, stopping at a blank one. Words began to appear as if written by an invisible quill. "Seek the starlight where the roots entwine." Elara gasped. "Finn, look." He leaned over, his freckles stark against his pale face. "Merlin's beard, that's creepy. What does it mean?" "I don't know," Elara admitted, "but I think the journal's enchanted. It's guiding us." Their search was interrupted by a shadow falling over the table. Professor Flint stood there, his dark robes blending with the dim light. "Miss Voss, Mr. Caldwell, he said, his voice smooth as oil. It's past curfew. What brings you to the library so late? Elara's heart raced. She slid the journal under a book. Just studying, sir. Flint's eyes narrowed, lingering on the pile of books. Curiosity is a dangerous thing, he said softly. Some secrets are best left buried. He turned and glided away, leaving a cold knot in Elara's stomach. The next morning, Elara woke with a plan. The journal's clue pointed to the forbidden forest, where ancient trees twisted like gnarled fingers. Roots entwined could mean the whomping willow or something deeper in the forest. She convinced Finn to join her, though he grumbled about detentions and giant spiders. They slipped out after herbology, cloaked in disillusionment charms to avoid prying eyes. The forest was a maze of shadows, the air heavy with the scent of moss and decay. Elara clutched her wand, her mother's journal tucked inside her cloak. The deeper they went, the more uneasy Finn became. "This is mad, Elara," he whispered. "What if we get caught? Or eaten?" "We won't," she said, though her own nerves were fraying. The journal glowed again, brighter this time, and she followed its pull to a clearing where a massive oak stood, its roots sprawling like veins across the earth. At its base was a stone slab, etched with a faint star-shaped rune. "This is it," Elara breathed. She pressed her wand to the rune, whispering, "Lumos." A beam of light shot from her wand, and the slab shuddered, sliding aside to reveal a dark tunnel. Finn grabbed her arm. "You're not seriously going down there." "I have to," Elara said. "Stay here if you want." He groaned but followed, muttering about loyalty and certain death. The tunnel was narrow, its walls slick with moisture. The journal's glow lit their way, revealing carvings of the four founders, Gryffindor, Hufflepuff, Ravenclaw, and Slytherin, each holding a piece of what looked like a broken star. At the tunnel's end was a circular chamber, its walls pulsing with faint blue light. In the center stood a pedestal, and on it, a shimmering veil of light that rippled like water. The Veil of Echoes. Elara stepped forward, mesmerized. "This is what she found," she whispered. But as she reached out, a voice echoed through the chamber, not her mother's but Professor Flint's. "I warned you, Miss Voss," he said, stepping from the shadows, his wand raised. "Some secrets are mine to keep." Elara's heart lurched as she spun to face Professor Flint, her wand trembling in her grip. The chamber's blue glow cast eerie shadows across his angular face, making his eyes glint like polished obsidian. Finn stepped in front of her, his own wand raised, though his hand shook visibly. "Stay back, Professor," Finn said, his voice cracking but defiant. "We're not here to cause trouble." Flint's lips curled into a smile that held no warmth. "Oh, but you've already caused plenty, Mr. Caldwell. Stumbling into places you don't belong. That veil," he gestured toward the shimmering curtain of light, "is not for curious children." Elara's mind raced, piecing together fragments of her mother's journal. Flint's presence here wasn't a coincidence. "You knew about this place," she said, her voice steadier than she felt. "You knew my mother was searching for it. What did you do to her?" Flint's smile faltered, just for a moment, but it was enough to confirm her suspicions. "Isolde was persistent," he said, his tone laced with mockery. "Much like you. She thought the veil could rewrite history, undo mistakes. But she didn't understand its true power, or its cost." "What cost?" Elara demanded, stepping closer to the veil. Its light pulsed, almost beckoning her. She could feel a strange warmth emanating from it, like a heartbeat. Flint's eyes darkened. "The Veil of Echoes doesn't just show the past, it can pull you into it. Change one thread, and the entire tapestry of time unravels. Your mother tried to use it to save someone she loved. She paid the price." Elara's chest tightened. Her mother had never spoken of anyone she loved, not even Elara's father, who had died before she was born. The journal hadn't mentioned love, only the veil and its dangers. Was Flint lying, or was there more to her mother's quest? "Step away from the veil, Miss Voss," Flint said, his wand glowing with a faint red light. "I won't ask again." Finn glanced at Elara, his eyes wide with panic. "We need to go, Elara. Now." But Elara's feet felt rooted to the stone floor. The journal in her cloak pulsed again and she pulled it out, its pages flipping wildly to a new entry. Words scrawled across the page: "Trust the starlight. Break the chain." Her eyes darted to the pedestal, where the star-shaped rune from the forest slab glowed faintly. "Finn, the rune," she whispered urgently. "It's the key." Before Flint could react, Elara lunged for the pedestal, pressing her wand to the rune. A blinding flash erupted, and the veil's light surged, filling the chamber with a deafening hum. Flint shouted a curse, but the sound was swallowed by the veil's roar. Elara felt a pull like a hook behind her navel, and the world dissolved into a swirl of colors. When her vision cleared, Elara was no longer in the chamber. She stood in a sunlit corridor of Hogwarts, but it was different, older somehow. The tapestries were brighter, the stones less worn. Students bustled past, their robes styled in an outdated fashion, with high collars and intricate embroidery. Finn was beside her, his face pale as he clutched her arm. "Where are we?" he whispered, his voice barely audible over the chatter of students. Elara's heart pounded. The journal was still in her hand, its pages now blank except for one word: time. "I think we're in the past," she said, her voice trembling. "The veil, it sent us back." Finn's eyes widened. "Merlin's Sagisocks, Elara, what have you done?" Before she could answer, a familiar figure appeared at the end of the corridor. A woman with Elara's dark hair and sharp blue eyes, her face younger but unmistakable. Elara Voss, her mother, alive and striding toward them with purpose. "Elara?" Isolde's voice was sharp with disbelief. She froze, her wand half raised. "How are you here?" Elara's throat tightened, tears prickling her eyes. "Mum," she choked out, stepping forward. But Isolde's expression hardened. "You shouldn't be here," she said, her voice low and urgent. "This is dangerous. The veil, it's unstable." "We didn't mean to," Elara said, holding up the journal. "I found this. It led me to the chamber. I was trying to find you." Isolde's eyes softened, but only for a moment. "You have to go back. No. The veil's magic is tied to the Founder's bloodlines. It's why I could access it. But every change here risks everything." Finn, still clutching his wand, looked between them. "Wait, so you're saying we're stuck in the past? And we could mess up the future?" Isolde nodded grimly. "The veil is a bridge, but it's fragile. One wrong move and you could erase yourselves, or worse." Elara's mind reeled. She wanted to hug her mother, to demand answers, but the urgency in Isolde's voice stopped her. "Then help us," she pleaded. "Tell us how to get back." Isolde hesitated, glancing down the corridor as if expecting someone. "The key of starlight," she said finally. "It's not just a rune, it's a relic hidden in the room of requirement. You need it to stabilize the veil. But be careful. There's someone else after it. Someone dangerous." Elara's stomach dropped. "Flint?" Isolde's face darkened. "He was my colleague. He betrayed me. He wants the veil for himself, to control time, not just observe it. If he gets the key, he could rewrite everything." A bell rang and students began to disperse. Isolde grabbed Elara's hand, her grip firm. "Find the room of requirement. Ask for a place to hide the starlight. Go now." Before Elara could protest, Isolde vanished around a corner, leaving her and Finn alone in the bustling corridor. Elara's heart ached, but she forced herself to focus. "The room of requirement," she said, turning to Finn. "We have to find it." Finn looked like he might faint. "This is insane. We're in the past, Elara. What if we change something and I end up with 6 toes or something?" "We won't," Elara said, though she wasn't sure. "Come on." The Hogwarts of the past was both familiar and disorienting. The castle's layout was the same, but the portraits were different, their subjects younger or entirely unfamiliar. Elara and Finn crept through the corridors, dodging students and professors who might question their presence. The room of requirement was on the 7th floor, but finding it in this time was a gamble. They paced in front of the blank wall, Elara whispering, "I need a place to hide the starlight." On the 3rd pass, a door materialized, its surface carved with celestial patterns. They slipped inside, finding a vast room filled with shelves of artifacts, goblets, mirrors, and strange devices that hummed with magic. At the center was a pedestal, and on it, a small, star-shaped crystal that glowed with an inner light. "The key of starlight," Elara breathed, reaching for it. But as her fingers brushed the crystal, a cold voice cut through the room. "Not so fast, Miss Voss." Flint stood in the doorway, his wand glowing with a sickly green light. But this wasn't the Flint from their time. This was a younger version, his face smoother but no less cruel. "You're meddling in things you can't comprehend," he said, stepping closer. Hand over the key and I might let you live. Elara clutched the crystal, her heart racing. You're the one who doesn't understand, she said, her voice shaking but defiant. This isn't yours. Flint laughed, raising his wand. Then let's see how brave you are. Flint's wand slashed through the air, sending a jet of red light hurtling toward Elara. She dove behind a shelf, the spell splintering a wooden crate inches from her head. Shards of wood rained down as Finn yanked her to her feet, his face pale but determined. Protego! Finn shouted, casting a shimmering shield that deflected another curse. The room of requirement trembled, artifacts rattling on their shelves as Flint advanced, his eyes glinting with malice. Give me the key, girl, he snarled, or I'll bury you both in this forgotten time. Elara's fingers tightened around the star-shaped crystal, its warmth pulsing against her palm. She could feel its power like a heartbeat synced with her own. The journal in her cloak glowed faintly and she risked a glance at it. New words scrawled across the page. The key binds the veil. Use it but beware the echo. Finn, cover me. Elara yelled, darting toward the center of the room. Finn flung a stunning spell at Flint, who deflected it with a flick of his wand, but it bought Elara a moment. She reached the pedestal where the key had rested, her mind racing. The journal's warning was vague, but she had to trust it. She pressed the crystal into a faint indentation on the pedestal, and a low hum filled the room. The air shimmered and a portal opened, a smaller version of the Veil of Echoes, its edges crackling with starlight. Elara felt a pull like the one that had dragged them into the past. Finn now, she shouted. Finn sprinted toward her, dodging another curse from Flint. But as they reached the portal, Flint's voice rang out, sharp and commanding. Incarcerus. Ropes shot from his wand, wrapping around Finn's legs. He stumbled, crashing to the floor. Elara, go. Finn yelled, struggling against the ropes. Get the key back to our time. She hesitated, her heart tearing. She couldn't leave him. But Flint was closing in, his wand glowing with a curse she didn't recognize. With a cry of frustration, Elara leaped through the portal, clutching the key and journal. The world spun, colors blurring, and she landed hard on cold stone. She was back in the underground chamber, the Veil of Echoes pulsing before her. The air was still, the only sound her ragged breathing. Finn was gone, trapped in the past with Flint. Panic clawed at her chest, but she forced herself to focus. The key of starlight glowed in her hand, and the veil seemed to hum in response, its light brighter than before. The journal flipped open on its own, revealing another message. The echo binds the blood. Return what was taken. Elara's mind raced. The Founder's bloodlines, her mother had mentioned them. Did the veil require something from her, a descendant of Ravenclaw? She pricked her finger with her wand, letting a drop of blood fall onto the key. The crystal flared and the veil's light stabilized, its chaotic ripples smoothing into a mirror-like surface. Elara stepped closer, her reflection distorted in the veil. She saw flashes, her mother younger standing in this same chamber, Flint, his face twisted with ambition, and Finn bound and struggling in the room of requirement. I'm coming for you, she whispered, pressing the key against the veil. The surface parted like water and she stepped through, emerging back in the past in the room of requirement. Finn was still there, ropes cutting into his wrists as Flint loomed over him. The younger Flint didn't notice her arrival, too focused on Finn. Tell me where she went. Flint snarled, raising his wand. Elara didn't hesitate. Expelliarmus, she shouted, sending Flint's wand flying. He spun, shocked, as she followed with a stunning spell. It hit him square in the chest and he collapsed, unconscious. Finn gaped at her. How did you? No time, Elara said, slicing through his ropes with a charm. We need to get back with the key. They ran to the portal which still shimmered in the room's center. But as they approached, the air grew heavy, and a low growl echoed from the shadows. A figure emerged, not Flint, but a woman with wild silver hair and eyes that glowed like embers. She wore ancient robes and her presence radiated power. You bear the key, the woman said, her voice like wind through a graveyard. But you are not its master. Elara froze. Who are you? The woman smiled, a chilling curve of her lips. I am Rowena Ravenclaw's echo, bound to the veil. The key is mine, child, and you will not take it. Finn grabbed Elara's arm. Elara, this is bad. Really bad. Elara's mind whirled. The journal had warned of an echo, but she hadn't expected this, a living remnant of a founder. "We need the key to fix the veil," she said, holding up the crystal. "It's unstable. It could destroy everything." The echo tilted her head, her eyes narrowing. "The veil was never meant for mortals to wield. Your mother learned that too late. Give me the key and I will send you home." Elara's heart sank. Giving up the key might mean losing her chance to save her mother, or Finn. But the echo's power was overwhelming, and the room trembled as if the castle itself was waking. She glanced at Finn, who nodded slightly, trusting her. "Fine," Elara said, stepping forward. She held out the key, but as the echo reached for it, she whispered, "Accio journal." The journal flew from her cloak to her hand, and she pressed the key against its pages. The crystal sank into the book, vanishing in a burst of light. The echo screamed, a sound that shook the walls. "What have you done?" "I bound the key to the journal," Elara said, her voice steady despite her fear. "It's safe now and you can't use it." The echo's form flickered, her eyes blazing. "You think you've won? The veil will claim you yet." Before Elara could respond, the portal flared, pulling her and Finn through. They landed back in the underground chamber, the veil now calm, its light steady. The journal lay open, the key's glow pulsing within its pages. But the echo's words lingered, a warning of consequences yet to come. Back in their own time, Elara and Finn stumbled into the Ravenclaw common room, exhausted and shaken. The journal was silent now, its pages blank once more. Finn slumped into a chair, rubbing his wrists where the ropes had chafed. "We're alive," he said, half laughing. "I can't believe it." Elara didn't smile. She stared at the journal, her mother's absence a fresh wound. "We found the veil, but I still don't know what happened to her." Finn leaned forward, his voice soft. "You saw her, Elara. She was trying to protect you. Maybe that's enough for now." It wasn't, but Elara nodded. She tucked the journal away, knowing she'd return to it. The veil was stable, but the echo's warning haunted her. And somewhere, in their own time, Professor Flint was still out there, his motives unclear. The next morning, Elara noticed something new in the journal. A faint sketch of a woman with silver hair, her eyes glowing. Below it, a single word: "Beware." The adventure wasn't over. Not yet. The Ravenclaw common room was quiet, save for the crackle of the fire and the occasional rustle of pages from students studying late. Elara sat cross-legged on her four-poster bed, the journal open in her lap, its new sketch staring back at her. The silver-haired woman, Rowena Ravenclaw's echo, felt like a shadow over her thoughts. The word beware pulsed in her mind, a warning she couldn't shake. Finn sprawled on a nearby chair, his eyes half closed, but Elara knew he was watching her, waiting for her next move. "We can't just ignore this," she said, tracing the sketch with her finger. "The echo, she's still out there, tied to the veil. And Flint, he's not done with us." Finn groaned, rubbing his face. "Elara, we barely escaped with our lives. Maybe we should, tell a professor? McGonagall would know what to do." Elara shook her head. "Flint is a professor, Finn. And if he's after the veil in our time, he's not working alone. We need to figure out what the echo meant, and why the journal's still talking to us." The journal hadn't glowed since they'd returned, but its pages felt alive, heavy with secrets. Elara flipped through it, hoping for another clue, but found only her mother's old notes and the new sketch. She closed her eyes, picturing the underground chamber, the veil's shimmering light, and the echo's chilling words: "The veil will claim you yet." A soft knock on the dormitory door startled her. It was late, too late for visitors. Finn sat up, his wand already in hand. Elara slipped the journal under her pillow and crept to the door, cracking it open. Standing there was a third-year Ravenclaw, Lila Wren, her round face pale and her eyes wide. "Elara, you need to come quick," Lila whispered. "There's something weird in the astronomy tower. I was up there studying and I saw lights. Not stars, something else. And I heard voices." Elara's stomach twisted. "What kind of voices?" Lila glanced nervously down the corridor. "I couldn't make them out, but they sounded old. Like they didn't belong." Finn was at Elara's side now, his expression grim. "This has veil written all over it. We should check it out." Elara nodded, grabbing her cloak and wand. "Lila, stay here. If we're not back by dawn, tell Professor Flitwick." Lila looked like she wanted to protest but nodded, slipping back into the shadows of the common room. The astronomy tower was a cold, windswept spire, its telescopes glinting under the moonlight. As Elara and Finn climbed the spiral staircase, the air grew heavier, charged with a strange energy. At the top, the observation platform was empty, but Lila was right. Faint lights flickered in the air, like wisps of starlight dancing without a source. Elara's journal, tucked in her cloak, began to hum softly. "Look," Finn whispered, pointing to the center of the platform. A faint outline of a rune glowed on the floor, identical to the star-shaped one from the forest slab. Before Elara could respond, the air shimmered and a voice echoed, not the echoes but her mother's. "Elara," Isolde's voice said, faint but clear. "The veil is waking. The key is only the beginning. Find the heart of the castle." The lights flared and a vision appeared, a translucent image of Isolde, standing in the same chamber they'd found beneath the forest. She held the starlight key, her face etched with fear. Beside her was a younger Flint, his wand raised, and another figure, a woman with silver hair, her eyes glowing. The echo. The vision faded, leaving Elara breathless. "She was here," she said. "My mom. She was trying to stop Flint, and the echo." Finn's eyes darted around the platform. "Okay, but what's the heart of the castle? And why's this happening now?" Elara's mind raced. The heart of the castle could mean anything: the Great Hall, the headmaster's office, or something deeper, tied to the founders. The journal vibrated again and she pulled it out. A new page glowed, showing a map of Hogwarts, but not the one she knew. It was older, with passages and rooms she'd never seen. A single point pulsed at the center, labeled Seor Cordis, Latin for Heart of the Heart. "We need to find this place," Elara said, showing Finn the map. "It's not on any marauder's map or history book. It's hidden." Finn looked skeptical. "Great. Another secret chamber. Because the last one went so well." They descended the tower, moving quietly through the castle's darkened corridors. The map led them to the base of the grand staircase, where a blank wall stood, unremarkable except for a faint crack shaped like a star. Elara pressed her wand to it, whispering, "Lumos." The wall shuddered, revealing a narrow staircase descending into darkness. "This is getting ridiculous," Finn muttered, but he followed her down. The staircase spiraled deeper than any Elara had seen, its walls carved with runes that glowed faintly. At the bottom was a circular chamber, smaller than the veils but no less grand. Its walls were inlaid with gemstones, emeralds, sapphires, rubies, and topaz, arranged in a constellation pattern. In the center stood a stone basin, filled with a liquid that shimmered like liquid starlight. "The heart of the castle," Elara whispered. The journal glowed brighter, its pages flipping to a new message: "The heart holds the truth. Speak her name." "Whose name?" Finn asked, but Elara already knew. "Isolde Voss," she said, her voice echoing in the chamber. The basin flared, and a figure rose from the liquid, a spectral image of her mother, her face serene but urgent. "Elara," Isolde said, "you've found the heart. The veil is tied to it, a safeguard created by the founders to protect time itself. Flint seeks to break it, to wield the veil's power. You must stop him." "How?" Elara asked, tears stinging her eyes. "He's already after us. And the echo, she's guarding the key." Isolde's image flickered. "The echo is a fragment of Rowena, bound to protect the veil. But she's corrupted, twisted by centuries of isolation. The key you bound to the journal can free her, or destroy her. Choose wisely." Before Elara could ask more, the chamber shook and a cold laugh echoed behind them. Flint stood at the entrance, his wand glowing. "You're persistent, Miss Voss," he said. "But you've led me right to the heart." Elara gripped the journal, her heart pounding. The key's glow pulsed within its pages and she knew the choice was hers. Free the echo or destroy it, and risk losing her mother's truth forever.